All right, here again. This is the Community Solidarity Response Network. It's our weekly podcast, our video cast, where we go over some of the things that we've done last week. Julian, some of the things we got coming up, and some of the things that are going on right now. You've got myself, Jody, and Julian here. We've got Ruth in the studio. All right, so she has
She's in Studio A. We're in Studio B. We got green room person that's trying to drink all your burners.
All right, well, she already know what it is. All right, you paying for that, Audrey. So I'm Brother Washington Muhammad. I'm one of the co-founders, along with Mike Leonardi and Jabril Bey. Man, 7 years ago.
I can't believe that.
Tomorrow. So also we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
Because tomorrow is our 7-year anniversary of getting it in our community in our own special way. What are some of the pluses that you got out of it? What are some of the good things that you got out of it? And what keeps you here? So we're going to be discussing that. I use the pronouns he and him. And as always, today I have on a black sweater and I have on my Palestinian scarf because sometimes the plight of our Palestinian brothers and sisters is a political hot potato that a lot of us may not want to discuss, but I'm here for all the smoke. Even the international smoke, all right, you can bring it. And as always, I'm dedicated to respect and protecting all Black bodies, no matter the cost, no matter the gains or loss. This is the home of Black Lives Matter and Justice or Else. And I've got my glasses on from Optical, Twix in between. So holler at Christian Moncrief. Tell her that you heard it from me.
Business, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Tell her you heard it from me, and ask for your Brother Washington discount. I don't know what you're going to get right, when you say that, but ask for the Brother Washington discount. We love her. We love seeing her bust. We love seeing the selection of eyeglasses that she has. She is top flight, top tier when it comes to eyewear and eye care of Black people in our community. So, having said that, I want to toss it over to Julian or Jody to introduce themselves, and let's put Ruth up because she's coming up next too.
What's up, everybody? My name is Julian Mack. Preferred gender pronouns he, him. Am I supposed to say anything else?
Yeah.
It's been a minute. I'm rusty. What brings me out today? I as always, I think that it's important to build grassroots power, to stay engaged in grassroots local issues, and it's an honor and privilege to continue to do work with CSRN because there is we're unbought and unbossed, right? And when it comes to the work that we do. And so I think it's important to continue to stay on the ground level, build power, and amplify voices in our community.
So what do you have on?
Oh,
you got some special stuff going on.
Yeah.
All right. Looks like you got a couple of earwear things popping off.
Yeah.
All right. So
what's
going on?
So I got on a new sweatshirt today. This is from the website Self Care is for Everyone. And it says your worth is not measured by your productivity.
You need to tell my job that. All right.
I wore this to my job today. And before specifically, right, like I'm somebody who has as I get more in touch with my mental wellness, transparent about like some of the struggles that I've had. People are always like, yo, Julian's a smart guy. But then, like, I've never had the grades that have reflected it. Or sometimes people will be my coworkers and they're like, yo, what is up with that? Something's off. Right. And the truth is I have ADD, right? I realize it's something that goes overdiagnosed and things like that. But I really got it. And there's been times in my life where I've connected my worth to my productivity. And that's a toxic thought pattern that I am unlearning even in the present. right? That just what I produce is my worth is much more than what I produce, right? I'm a deeper human being than that, than my paycheck, than my and then some of the work I do, right? I still have thoughts, feelings, ideas, right? Things that have nothing to do with productivity that still add value and worth to my life. And so I was happy to, so when I saw that, I'm like, yep, I need that shirt to remind myself of that message.
That's right.
Right.
That's beautiful.
And so that's why I'm wearing that today. So shout out to the website, Self Care is for Everyone. They've got a lot of other cool gear. Check them out.
All right, all right. Hey, let's bring Ruth in, and then we'll wrap it up with Jody and the mission statement, and then we'll come back to you with the the guiding principles. All right. Somebody's getting the cue cards wrong.
Out there.
No, the cue cards are wrong. All right, the cue cards are wrong.
You got to stop playing Jimmy and candy bars. That's right.
Who you tell? All right. Okay. All right. Hey, I thought you were gonna say something else. I'm like, okay, it is shut down again. All right. Hey, listen, Ruth, if you don't mind, if you could introduce yourself. What do you have on, and why are you still here?
So hello everyone. My name is Ruth Leonard. I am the administrative core for the Community Solidarity Response Network of Toledo. And on today, the 7-year anniversary of CSRN, I am wearing my hair in a braided top knot. I have on glasses, handmade earrings, and a white button-up shirt. And I show up as often as I can to every CSRN meeting because I like to hang out with my revolutionary besties. It's really exciting every week just to have that space that I can go to decompress, to talk about the past week as it relates to just the Black experience. And I think that it's really exciting to have this platform, not only this virtual platform, but before COVID, when we were able to meet in person, just to be able to have a place where I knew I could have a sounding board for all of my feelings. It was a safe space to decompress from all of the stress of being Black and white spaces. I knew that CSRN would allow me the chance to talk through some of my frustrations, whether it's through court cases that I'm forced to see through the media, or if it's through my own just personal Black experience. The members of CSRN, we have our core 4 here, but we are far stretched out across the United States and across the world. The fact that we are able to consistently show up for each other, to allow each other to feel out this existence, I think in a lot of ways, to really live the truth that being Black is not a monolith. I think that Jody a lot of times brings up the fact that in that room alone where you all are sitting, there's 3 different types of spiritual connections with the power greater than themselves. And to know that we are all able to come together, we are all able to discuss and have genuine conversations, and we may not always agree on everything, but it's all rooted in the truth and the authenticity of the Black experience. I think that's what keeps me coming back, and what I think has made these past 7 years fly by. I know for me, it's been, I want to say 5 years that I've been a part of CSRN, and to know that the personal growth that I've been able to have, the strength and courage that's been poured into me, that I've been able to pour into others through these last 5 years that I've been a part of CSRN, in the past 7 years that it's been in existence, I think is something to be celebrated. I think that we should definitely continue to move forward and, fight the good fight and keep on looking to make the changes and hold individuals accountable. But I think today is just a really good moment in time of taking the time to really be in that moment. And And the last thing that I'll say is, I know that a lot of times the work that we do is often rooted in continuing to fight, continuing to move towards a greater goal. But I think one of the things that we have really pushed is self-care. And so for today's, for my own personal measure of self-care, I just want to take a moment to just let go of all of the other stress and be present in the moment, and to practice some grounding strategies and skills, and to just really authentically be happy to be in this moment. There are a lot of people who started CSRN, and for whatever reason, they no longer are able to show up as consistently as I think we have, or as much as we would like. But we know that they are still out there. We know that they still send us love and they send us their support. And so what I just want to say is, for any and every person who has been a part of the CSRN journey for the last 7 years, whether it's through liking a Facebook post, showing up to an event, donating money, donating time, donating food, anything that you have done to be a part of CSRN, I just want to say, from the administrative standpoint, I thank you. I appreciate you. I love you all. This is a collaborative effort, and it would not be successful without everyone's involvement.
All right, and I love what you said about being in the moment today. You know, hey, let's check in with. Thank you, Ruth. Let's check in with Jody. If you could introduce yourself, it looks like you got 5 or 7 new crystals. All right, I'm sorry, I don't mean to give you a hard time, but I really do. All right,
Waka waka.
could you introduce yourself? What do you have on, and why are you still here?
So what's up, everybody? Jody J. Summers, child of the system, the treasurer of this wonderful organization. I am a brown-skinned, big bare tone of a man that is covered in crystals and gems and stones, as I've expanded my journey, not only through this organization, but through my art and my books and meeting people and helping people who thought they were broken, but really they were just an odd piece out. And that doesn't mean that anything was wrong with them. So that's what this is. I know every crystal, whether they be here or I travel, and who it came from, because they mattered. I mattered enough to them to let me keep this piece of them. And I'm covered in tattoos that tell the story of my artwork and my books. I have a piercing. It's not in today, but yeah, and the clothing that I wear is non-descriptive. You will never see a Nike brand name unless it is local, like my hat that is Filthy Feathers, like my shirt that is Zombie Crawl when I started in 2017, and this year I was the board member. Wow. So that is the progression of my life. I don't need to have anything on me to pretend to be something I'm not, or anyone around me to pretend to be something that I'm not. Being here, everybody else has said, has been an experience, because when I came, it was interesting. We were doing stuff, something broke me, and I didn't leave. And I met all of these amazing people from different walks of life, from different backgrounds, through political parties, through whether you were homeless or you got a couple yachts, you still came at some point in time, and that mattered to us. That mattered to me, because it helped us grow. We weren't just looking at a blank state of how things should be, but we saw the kaleidoscope of people coming together for a purpose. I mean, the world is a very different place right now, but those people are still out there. It's right. Okay to take breaks. It's okay to take time for yourself. You're fighting for people who die and bleed in the streets based on injustice. So that is some of the hardest work you'll do in your lifetime. And it's okay to need a break, because you're never going to get thank you properly for the time and emotional trauma you sacrificed to do this. This is not a game.
That's right.
This is not, oh, I'm going to make a TikTok or some social media. No, this will affect your life. People will find you from one little photo and be talking about that for the rest of your life. So our privacy, I've had my house egged. They've been arrested, not them, but people in the stuff have been arrested and gassing. That stuff will stay with you for the rest of your life. especially the people, someone that you can save, because you can't save the whole ocean of fish. But you know what? You could take one fish and be like, I got that one.
Okay.
So sometimes that's what this is about. And I'm also the voice. And in the past, when we started, I was the narrator. So if you ever go back 7 years and like, wow, this sounds interesting. That was me back then. But you know, things change. You focus on different stuff, and that is okay. Just communicate with people that that's okay instead of just life. Let's just say that.
All right.
So one of the ways that we've stayed together as an organization, it wasn't just we're going out every day because we're angry and we're mad and we want something done. We sat down and we came up with guiding principles and a mission statement, something that will keep us grounded, whether they be 4 of us or 4,000 of us, we still march under the same principles. So if you are starting an LLC or all that stuff or business, this is one of the first steps you need to take, because when you do want to ask people in the community to help you or to do stuff, they're going to say, who are you? Are you just a bunch of unorganized people that's mad? Or do you have a purpose and some type of idea? Because a plan is never too good because all life changes, but an idea of what you want to do with this. So this is our mission statement. We are the Community Solidarity Response Network of Toledo, formed on November 25th, 2014, the day after it was announced that the killer, a Ferguson, Missouri police officer, of Michael Brown, an unarmed teenager, would not be indicted. We bring awareness to the injustices experienced by Black men, women, and children who are disproportionately murdered, attacked, provoked, and harassed by law enforcement. Police brutality has to end. We bring awareness to the fact that most often, police brutality goes without consequence or accountability. Police impunity has to end. We utilize the tactics of protest, civil disobedience, event disruption, and citizen advocacy to give voice to those who are otherwise voiceless. We facilitate progressive, community-based events that help foster development, and we discuss measures to hold local leadership accountable to their sworn duties, be they politician, clergy, law enforcement, educators, etc., etc. We want justice, equal justice under the law. We want justice applied equally to all, yes, all, regardless of class, creed, or color. For all lives to matter, Black lives, yes, Black lives must matter. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice anywhere, everywhere. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I could be a little less.
That's all right. That's all right. That was the remix. All right. We'll never do that again. But Julian, we're gonna have Julian read our guiding principles. And one of the things when you introduce yourself, Julian also serves as a spokesperson, meaning that once Ruth decides what we're gonna do, how we're gonna do it, and decide what's gonna be said, regardless if it's gonna clear the room or fill it. All right. We need someone to take the point and say those things in public. And it's awesome to have you to do that. You're eloquent, you're articulate, and you allow your gift to be used for the resurrection and salvation of our people. And it's awesome to have you use your skill set for that. Do you mind reading our guiding principles?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I'm just playing.
All right.
All right. Training and leadership development should be fundamental. Our movement must constantly grow and leadership must constantly multiply. And we say Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe means one who changes
a thing or one who makes a thing happen.
All right. The most directly affected people are experts at their own lives and should be in leadership and at the center of our movement and telling our stories directly. Ashe.
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 Self-care means we build resilient spaces by budgeting energy, time, and resources for healing. Self-care is a regular, consistent, intentional, and essential practice. Can I get an ashe?
Ashe.
360-degree vision. We honor the past struggles and wisdom from our elders. Brother Washington. The work we do today builds the foundations of the movements of tomorrow. We consider our mark on future generations. Ashe?
Ashe.
Love and self-love is practiced in every element of all we do. Love and self-love must be the driver of our work and an indicator of our success. Without this principle and without healing, we will harm each other and undermine our movement. Ashe?
Ashe.
Principled struggle can exist in a positive environment. We must be honest with one another by embracing direct and loving communication. Ashe?
Ashe.
Evaluation and assessment must be built into our culture. Critical reflection must be part of all of our work. We learn from our mistakes and our victories. Ashe?
Ashe.
Experimentation and innovation must be built into our work. We embrace the best tools, practices, and tactics and leave those behind which no longer serve us. Ashe?
Ashe.
Thriving instead of surviving. Our vision is based on the world we want, not the one we are currently in. We seek to transform, not simply react. We want our people to thrive, not just exist. Think beyond the possible. Ashe?
Ashe.
Ashe.
All Black lives matter. Queer Black lives, trans Black lives, formerly and presently incarcerated Black lives, poor working class Black lives, differently abled Black lives, Black men and women's lives, immigrant Black lives, Black elderly and children's lives. All Black lives matter. We are the creators of this space. We throw no one under the bus. We rise together. Ashe.
Ashe.
Hey, thank you, Julian. Hey,
Yes,
listen,
very creative.
we're going to take.
Right, another remix.
All right.
Right.
Some people get a pass. All right. Julian gets a pass. All right. Jody, you do not get a pass.
That's the first time I've heard that.
Hey, everything is not the same.
All
Right.
right.
Hey, let's take a short break because we're going to come back with Audrey Johnson. She's from
Woo!
West. Plus, she's from does a lot of things in our community regarding art. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. This is the Community Solidarity Response Network. It's our weekly podcast. We'll be right back.
Do you care? Do you care? Your life matters to me. Does my life matter to you? If your life matters to you, wear the mask for me. It could save you. Your life matters to me. Does my life matter to you? If your life matters to you, wear the mask for me. It could save you. Your life matters to me. Does my life matter to you? If your life matters to you, wear the mask for me. It could save you. Your life matters to me. Does my life matter to you? If your life matters to you, wear the mask for me. It could save you. Fall back and check yourself. Fall back and check yourself. Fall back and check yourself. Fall back and check yourself.
All right, we are back. CSRN Video Minutes, our weekly podcast. Hey, listen, we are celebrating 7 years of CSRN. Yeah, right. I was going to do that. I didn't know how to do it. But yeah, we're celebrating 7 years of being in the community. All of us were a part of something before anyway.
Yeah.
All right. But we found a space that we can combine our efforts, all right, and come together to make some things happen. Some of the things that we still do, all right, as a solo. And then there's some things that we do together. And I think that's one of the things that really appealed to me about this coalition of men and women, that not only we can come together and do some things that affect our community, there's also some other things that you might want to do, all right, independent. And that's what this new movement, which I think that for me, Black Lives Matter, hands up, don't shoot, really changed the way that older people organize. And it's a great space to be in. It's our 7-year anniversary, so you're going to hear a lot about that tonight. But what we really wanted to bring up, Audrey.
Yeah.
She's in the green room. Let's see if we can bring her up.
He's charging you for them burners.
Right. I think that's why she dipped out. All right. That's
Hey,
why
Audrey.
Hi, Audrey.
Hello, everyone. How are you this evening?
We are fine. Hey, listen, I talked to Audrey. Was it Sunday or Monday?
I think that was Monday. I was making some phone calls.
Right, and it's not often that I see Audrey Johnson pop up on my phone. All right, most people are just like voicemail. All right, so we got a chance to talk. We see each other often. If it's not Kwanzaa, it's something else that's going on in the community. And after our discussion, I'm like, you know what? Everything you're saying is everything that I've ever wanted to do. Do you mind coming on our podcast tomorrow? She was like, hey, I am down. So, Audrey, could you introduce yourself? Hey, what you're wearing, I think that's a smart blazer that you got going on. And what is it that keeps you doing so much in our community?
Wow. Well, actually, what I'm wearing today, I am a part of Phi Delta Kappa sorority, which is a sorority for female educators. And today is a celebration of our sorority. So we all decided that we would wear gold and red to represent Phi Delta Kappa. So that's what I'm wearing. And
All right.
and my glasses are matching. They're red, and they did come from Opti View as well. I am always excited to push Kristen and her great business in eyewear. Absolutely.
All right. My next question is, what is it that keeps you doing so much, especially regarding art? And I know that you have some things going on with Liz.
Yes.
But what is it about you in art? And follow her on Facebook. You might find out this project that she started, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And all of us thought that you were insane, that you would never do it. But now that we see the fruits of your work, a lot of us are saying, yep, we knew she would do it. All right. So what is it that keeps you doing so much? And also, and lastly, what do you got going on with Liz?
You know, when I think about, people ask me all the time, like, you know, what's in it for you? Why do you do so much? You know, you always got something going on. And I can honestly say that it was just something that was, you know, embedded in me in my rearing. You know, as a kid. I'm not from Toledo originally. I'm from Canton, Ohio. Yes, I am a McKinley Bulldog, the real Bulldogs. And
you can go now. All right.
I have to give Canton, Ohio a shout out. But Toledo's my home. Like this, I have been in Toledo. I would say all of my adult life. I went to Bowling Green State University, earned a bachelor's degree in visual communications technology, moved to Toledo to do my last internship after graduation, and I've been here ever since. So I've been in Toledo over 30 years, and it is home to me. And I have to say that Toledo has been good to me. Like any idea, any vision that I've had, I've always been able to accomplish it here. So it gives me the sign and the signal that my creator planted me here for the reason to do the work that I do. And in that sense, I have not worked professionally, so to speak, in my profession or what I was degreed in. I have always worked with youth in the Toledo area. Um, I started through Tillman Gallery. I owned a gallery on Madison and 13th Street. I believe that we were the first full gallery in Toledo at that time that was African American owned and operated. And through my gallery, Tillman Gallery, we were able to connect to the community and to connect to the African American community and artists. A lot of times, African American artists, no matter what their medium is, tend to go underground, or at that time they did,
Right.
if there was not a solid home for them. So that was kind of how I got my foot, in the door with artists in Toledo. So and as well started working with young people and youth through the Boys and Girls Club and LMHA, Girl Scouts, doing projects, working for those organizations, that kind of thing. So I've always been a split between the person that does the 9 to 5 and the person that does the entrepreneurial activity. And that has kept me motivated to keep going. Every project that comes through me, I need to see it be completed, which is why I am still working on this project with my home. Actually, people see it on Facebook and they're like, does she live there? Is this a
Right.
building that she bought? All those things. Well, I bought a mansion that sits in the middle of the block of Winthrop and Toledo, Ohio. And I had this vision of opening it to be a live workspace. And the workspace side had to deal with continuing my vision with artists and promoting artists, creating a creative space that was a little bit more than just a gallery, and for me to be able to get to the point where I was able to produce my own artwork, because I am a photographer. Most people don't know that, but to be able to get to that point. So that's kind of where that kind of grew out of. And the great thing about it is I own the house, so it didn't really matter how long it took. It was just me continuing to stick to my vision of what I needed to do.
All right. Now, yesterday when we talked about a tour that we would be able to get, just us, nobody else. All right. Because when I think of your space, I also think, wow, this will be an awesome space to broadcast a podcast from.
You're trying to have a Studio E.
Because, because what we do, and Audrey, you've known me from working in theater, and how art is a part of everything that we do.
Yeah.
And lastly, before we get to lists, because I think that's something that I wanted to ask you about. Ruth talked about self-care, and that usually in movements, I'm a member of the Nation of Islam, so I know how important self-care is. And we haven't always instituted that, and especially if you're doing something that's labor intense.
Yeah.
And without self-care, a lot of us do break. Without self-care, a lot of us become depressed. Without self-care, we end up doing for everyone and not doing anything for ourselves. And I wanted to ask you, Audrey, what is it that you do for self-care? Because you're still here, you look great,
Thank
that
you.
blazer is hitting. All right. So how is it that after 20 or 30 years of you loving and giving, that you can still look the way that you do and do what you do? What is your secret?
Oh wow, thank you. You know what? There's no secret. I think there's setting that intention and really making some choices about, you know, what you need to do in order to continue to do those things that have been assigned to you. So in that respect, I am, for as much as people see me and as much as I do that much for myself as well. I am a person who likes to read. I like to meditate. Um, I take a lot of long walks. I try to do 10,000 steps a day. And if I don't get it in a day, I get it in 3 days a week. And that's the time where I'm able to, you know, just be at peace. Very, you know, it's just me. And I'm walking. A lot of times I don't have headphones on, none of those things. And I'm just kind of really, you know, being grateful and taking in that gratitude of the things that are around me, that and become present to the moment in that time, you know, and that may be an hour and a half, but I feel like that hour and a half is what creates that longevity of life. And I am a true meditator and prayer person. I call my ancestors and all of those angels that exist to support me on this earth. I call on them often. You know, Maya Angelou would say, you know, okay, y'all, come on, we getting ready to go. I'm gonna need everybody to come with me. And, you know, I do live my life like that. I do want to say this. Um, Today and listening to you all, I just want to let you know that I appreciate you so much, and I appreciate you being, you know, in the front line. Many years I was in the front line. I don't consider myself in the front line anymore, but just know that there's a true sister here in me that is behind you. If you never see me, you know where my heart and my mind and my objectives lie is with my community and with my people. And today I had 2 dates today. I call them dates. And one of them was with Paul Robeson, and the other one was with James Baldwin. And I went from 1948 listening to Paul talk before the Senate. That was so powerful. We don't know, some of us don't know what we had in a voice in Paul Robeson.
What's
And
real?
then I went to 1983 with James Baldwin. And wow, he just gave a lot of light on a lot of things. And even in James Baldwin's fear, even in his fear, because a lot of times he would say, you know, I feared, or I was in fear, but he still spoke up. So, you know, even in his fear, he never wavered from his love for his people. And he talked about, you know, being an artist and his responsibility as an artist and having a voice. And it's just amazing what you can learn when you sit back and listen to those people who have graced us with their presence on this earth. And I'll say this to you. We are not far off from what they were saying, and they expected us to be right here, right now, doing exactly what we're doing tonight. And I say to you, thank you for that.
Well, look, we stand on the shoulders, and you and I both know anything that myself, Ruth, Julian, Jody, or anyone can do, somebody already done it. We just had a comment in our chat. So if you're in our chat, show some love. We have our mother emeritus, Sister Twyla Page that said Canton is in the house, is in the place, and we love her. We stand on her shoulders. All right, we stand on your shoulders. Not only the ancestors that have passed on, but the potential ancestors that we have right here. So we give ourselves and our brothers and sisters their flowers while they're here, and it's a beautiful journey. You know, it's been, like we said, it's been 7 years of Black people organizing something outside of white supremacy, outside of politics, outside of religion, and still here. All right. Those things don't happen often. I've been a part of a lot of coalitions, and a coalition is a group of independent people that they come together for something, an event or whatever. After the event, everybody disperses. However, this is different. All right. This is different. And
it's like commitment.
Right. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to, like Ruth said, hey, look, we show up as much as we can. All right, because it's not like it's we call it, I call it an unfunded initiative. All right, so you're not going to cash a check at the end of the week standing up for your people.
Yeah.
All right, you're not going to cash a check at the end of the week loving our people more than they hate themselves. You know, you're not going to cash a check at the end of the week trying your best to unite with some of us that may have differences, but you know what? There's a higher principle that makes our differences very small. Yeah. So it's awesome. 7 years of CSRN. Hey, I wanted to bring Audrey back, and I wanted to talk about lists, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Audrey, how you feeling?
Yes, I'm good. I'm doing good. I don't know what happened, but I am in the house and everything is all right. Absolutely.
All right. You know what? When you live in a house that has an east wing and a west wing and a south wing, hey, that AT&T Wi-Fi just don't spread around. So wah for you, all right? You get some white tears from me, all right? Your house
right.
is big, all
right.
Yeah, well, all right, we feel for you. Let's
right.
violins.
It doesn't take away from the fact that it's 124 years old.
No, it doesn't. But it's a beautiful journey watching you. I think when I first saw it, I think it was you and your son that were either working on the steps or something on near the front door. And right then I'm like, she is out of her mind. I
remember seeing the photos.
You might as well go ahead, check in to the green belt.
All right. That,
and keep it 100. Ain't no way you're gonna be able to do that. And I love being wrong. You know, and I've seen a lot of things in our community where my faith wouldn't be strong enough to do that. And then you see people actually doing something that if it were you would have quit on day 3. So that's what I love seeing. All right. And I don't mind seeing it because that's the miracle of our people. And I wanted to get into LISC, LISC Toledo. And it looks like you are working as a community mapper. What's a community mapper? And what is it that some of the things that LISC Toledo is striving to do in our community?
Okay. I'm excited to talk about this, and I'm sure as time goes that the community will hear a lot more, but I can share with you some things just to give you an example of what's going on with LISC. First of all, I would like to let you know that LISC stands for Local Initiative Support Corporation. That is what LISC is. LISC is a national organization, but it also is broken down into regions or areas. So we are with LISC Toledo. And I have been contracted to be a mapper. And basically, what LISC is doing, they have partnered with the Art Tatum Zone, and they are working to identify businesses of entrepreneurs that live in the Junction neighborhood. And through that initiative, we're hoping that we can represent and present some resources to those businesses. And we want to know what the barriers are that keep them from, thriving in those areas. And through those conversations, what LISC and the Mappers will do, along with the help of the Art Tatum Zone and Christine Sweeney, is we will put together a plan that identifies those issues that have been given to us directly by those businesses in the area. And we want to make sure that the resources are provided to those businesses directly. And we want to just really hone in on it as much as possible, so that the Junction neighborhood can thrive and be an example of what can take place, throughout the central city. This is, I believe, just the beginning. And what I appreciate about LISC and Art Tatum Zone and what they're doing is, when they came to me about this project, I didn't know a lot about LISC. I had heard that, the Art Tatum Zone, what they were doing after school programming, but when they came to me, it was to be sure that they had a representation of entrepreneur, African American, somebody that's vested in the community, and they came to me with that prospect. So just because of those things, I told them whatever I could do to help and support the initiative, I would do that. And I am learning a lot about LISC and learning a lot more about some of their initiatives and what they're doing. This is just the beginning phase. I believe there are 6 of us that are doing the interviews. And we have about 50 interviews that we will be doing either in person or by Zoom, and talking to some of those people who have businesses in the area, finding out just, how they got started, just a conversation, so to speak, and then being able to take back that information and put together something strategically that'll definitely support them.
All right. Well, one of the things that I always get when I hear these conversations is when people say, well, why focus on one part of Toledo? Why not focus on all of Toledo? Why are you playing favorites and and things like that? So what do you say to people like that may not understand what LISC Toledo is doing and would want LISC Toledo to focus on all of Toledo?
Well, for one, I could say that when you are when it's a nonprofit that is working on large initiatives, community initiatives, a lot of times, they're looking for grant opportunities and monies that are out there through the federal government, through private spending for the projects, that meet their mission and their initiatives. So in that respect, would just be like me and my own nonprofit. If I'm looking through RFPs to see what's available to me, there may be a particular grant that says this is the criteria. These are the things that you need to be able to meet. So then at that point, the organization looks at who meets this criteria. Where can we best make this money work? And this is the opportunity to get the money to make it work. So in that respect, I'm not 100% sure, but I know enough about nonprofit grant funding, those kind of fundings, that's a big possibility as to why it was Junction. But at the same time, we have to realize that projects come in portions because you want them to be successful. You want to be able to prove that this really works, and it's better, in my opinion, to use a smaller cluster of community, of people, whatever it is, to really make the impact strong. And then once you've done it and you have proof and you have data that supports that this works, then you can take that next level. And before you know it, it will end up being the larger community. But in order for it to be impactful and quality, you got to start at one chunk, and you can't eat the whole elephant. I'll just say it like that. You can't eat the whole elephant.
That's right. One bite at a time.
Right. Hey, listen, before Audrey goes, does anyone, anything that you could take from, from what she said? Jody, I think you know her from the art community. Anything?
Yes. Hi, Jody.
Hello.
I love you.
I can say that if you can stay as long as you want, so you just want to sit in the green room or come in, you can wait. But if you're not able to watch the end of the show for 5 minutes of heat, I think you might have read it or saw it. I'll be reading the piece called Toxic tonight.
So what is 5 minutes of heat? All right, since you kind of let it out there, and I don't know if Miss Audrey's realized 5 minutes of heat. Well, I never. So I don't know if she like that. No, she live in a mansion, so she might be clutching her pearls. All right. Well, I never. All right.
From the trunk and all of that stuff with Stormy, and she's heard multiple 5 minutes of heat, but 5 minutes of heat is basically how we close out our meetings. And I've had the privilege of doing this for 6 years. A lot of people ask me how you have such a vast collection of poems and books and artwork, because every week I had to have some new heat or something like that. So it was kind of like one of those mission statements or things like, what's going on in the world? How am I feeling? How are my friends feeling? My art, just kind of like with Maya Angelou and James Baldwin, my art is a reflection of the life that I live as I see it. I'm not worried about fame and time and being mad at somebody. Some of them are reactionary, but I want somebody 100 years from now to say, this is what was happening in 2017, 18, 19, because they are all dated and timed, and it's a process. It really is, because I can look at myself in 2015 and see the stuff that I'm doing now and see how I manifested that in what I was talking about.
That's awesome.
So that's how we end our meetings. Poetry, spoken word. I'm not doing the slam version, so because I realize sometimes kids watch, I can't cuss. But and I'm happy that she's watched me grow too as an artist, because it's like for most people, they're like, oh, you're awesome. Yeah. But I remember when I was reading paper and shaking and didn't know my own cadence or didn't know a lot. And now it's just like, I bring people to tears every time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. I am grateful to be here. Just all the way around. And I definitely leave the open invitation for you all to record it here live, the podcast. I would love to have that as a part of what I do whenever you like to do it.
That's awesome.
All right.
Hey, listen, Audrey, thank you for joining us. Hey, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back in for each of us in these last 6 or 7 years. What were some of your high points that you've experienced? So thank you, Audrey, for joining us. We will see you soon. Thank you for sharing the information on lists. Thank you for sharing the updates on the mansion. How many times a day you get a chance to meet one of us that got a mansion?
Oh, we're going to the mansion. That's going to be the podcast from the mansion.
All right.
Right.
Thank you, Audrey. So
thank you.
Just Stay tuned. This is the CSRN Video Minutes, our weekly podcast. Come right back.
Did you know addiction is a disease, not a moral dilemma? The opioid epidemic and substance use have a major impact on communities of color and many people's lives. Wasion Wellness Recovery Support Center offers culturally relevant inpatient and outpatient behavioral health treatment and recovery support services to any Ohioan struggling with addiction, mental health, or finding sober, safe housing. We must recognize that treatment is available and accessible to all. If you are in need of treatment or want to find out more information, you can call 1-888-728-2713 to talk to someone or schedule an appointment.
All right, see, you're talking. We're coming back. I want to do my little, hey, we're back.
He was asking me to budget some checks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Miss Artie, because that's what we do. That's exactly what I do.
Hey,
all right.
like you said, we got Ruth as the administrator, we got Julian, and I just cash the checks. That's all.
All right. Hey, listen, we've been here for, as a group for 7 years. I like to talk about some of the highlights, and there are many that you've experienced in this journey. If you could list your top 3 or top 5, what would those experiences be and why? I don't know if Ruth want to take this first.
She can take it first. I'm gonna close this door real quick.
Okay, so let's see. My top 3 CSRN moments. Okay, number 1 has to be the very first time I went to a protest. It was when I had known Julian for all of 2 weeks, maybe. He invited me to a protest, and somehow I end up leading the protest. And then I realized that I have no idea where I'm going. Neither does anyone who is in my immediate eyesight. But just leading a group of people with a bullhorn, and just being wrapped up in that moment of just we are the people and we can make a difference and we can make a change and we can march all over the city was amazing. So that was the first one. So thank you, Julian, for that invitation. And there is a now infamous photo of, I believe it's myself, Julian, and Jody all standing in, I can't think of the name of the park. What's the name of the park?
Uptown Green.
Uptown Green. I wanted to call it for a minute.
Great.
Number 2, the second greatest moment would have to be, I think it was the first Black Lives Matter award. Whichever one we did with the college students. I don't know if that was the first or the second one.
It was the scholarship.
The scholarship. The Black Lives Matter scholarship was amazing because not only did it just come out of just this idea of, let me just throw this out there, but then we got everyone involved. We got to read all of these amazing essays. I got to use the color printer at my job to make the official copies of it. That was amazing. Yeah, I'm a teacher. Color printers are a big deal. And then the third biggest moment, I can't nail it down to one particular moment. I would just have to say the summer of 2020.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think everything that I don't think we will ever have another summer as meaningful and as impactful as 2020 was. Because I can remember the week prior, Julian and I were doing the podcast, and he said, "Hey, do you want to talk about this thing that happened?" And oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. George Floyd. He said, "Do you want to talk about George Floyd?" And I said, "No, I don't know what it is, so I don't have anything to say. And I don't want to just talk about it off the cuff. I want to at least know something about it." And I think we did that podcast on, I don't know, maybe a Friday.
Yeah.
And by that Monday, we had all met up outside of like our normal CSRN meetings. We were just like, all right, we're doing this thing. And by that following Friday, we gathered the entire city.
Yes.
And like, it was iconic in a way that it started so many other individuals who hadn't been involved in politics before, who hadn't been involved in like this revolutionary work before, to try to take a step out and say, I'm going to do this. And I may not have all the answers, but I'm going to try because it matters to me. And there were so many, oh my gosh, how can I put this in a way that captures it? There were so many movements, right? And opportunities for people to try, for people to openly acknowledge the fact that they did not know, but they were willing to use whatever resources that they had. There were so many white women who called me and said, hey, I'm sorry about racism. Can you tell me how to put on a march? And there were some that I said, you know what? I'm going to invite you to this march because you're so green that it can easily be co-opted. So I'm just going to point you in this direction. And there were others where I said, here's a playbook.
There you go.
Go out and I want you to use what I know, bring it to your community and make a difference there. And I think that over the course of that summer, I saw so many nuanced conversations that hadn't been happening before, that had been attempted to be pushed under the rug, that no longer, there was no place to hide anymore. And I think that CSRN holding that initial march, everything that happened after it will be sealed in the history of Toledo forever.
That's right.
I think that when you look at how it's rewritten, the fact that it's important enough to be rewritten, I think says a lot about the power that we have as an organization, says a lot about the power that we have as a community, says a lot about the power that we have as individuals. And I'm proud to constantly counter the narrative, to have to rewrite the narrative, because every time it's brought up, I feel compelled to say, all right, let's go back to that day.
That's right.
We're going to talk about it. Let's talk about the whole thing. And so to try to brush it off, I think it sped up history in a lot of ways. And the easiest way I can like wrap my mind around it is as an educator teaching about Columbus Day, right?
Right.
And growing up, it was like, all right, you have the Amerindians or the Native Americans or the Indians, and Columbus came and just like said all of that. He got it all right back on track. And now as an educator, like as a student, that's what I learned. And now as an educator, I can say, no, that was wrong. And instead of having to wait 20 years to go from the classroom, to go from a student to the teacher, now I think that summer kind of encapsulated all of that. And so you can look back on it and say, no, this is wrong. This is right. And it's not something that has to be constantly argued about, because there's so much truth that has been burned into the history of this city that I think that has to be like the number one moment of CSRN's history that will always live in my heart is that summer.
That's awesome. And I like what you said, because you've got the people here alive and well. Mm-hmm. So anytime I see someone trying to make May 20th or May 30th something that it wasn't, we right here. Go on. No.
Right.
It's not going down like that, because we're still here. We're healthy. You don't have to dig up our archives to find out what we really thought. You can hop on our site right now and see. So thank you for your 3 top and I'm sure that there's others, all right? But for you, Jody, Julian, it's our 7th year anniversary. We're still getting it in. If you could list your 3 top moments of CSRN in your journey, what would that be for you?
I guess one of them would be after disrupting the MLK event, we came back as honored guests with Corey Bush, as a matter of fact. Before the whole all of that. So that would definitely be one, because right then at that moment, I was at a point where, as you all know, and that's why we kind of like family, because we know stuff doesn't have to go on the screen. But I was going through a lot, and it was at that point in my life where I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get a job. I'm just gonna listen and be quiet. And it was like,
we see how well that went. All right.
Yeah, this was before the books and all of that stuff. So that was an impactful moment, because again, we interrupted the year before because it was too gentrified. And the next year they were like, who can we, oh yeah, that group that everybody clapped for, they just didn't go away. So we'll probably never be there again, but it happened. It was history. It was an amazing moment to see as we grew as an organization of just a collective of strangers to we're gonna organize and you have to respect us. Well, we might come back.
Hey, that's right.
I guess I see there's like so many moments and everything, but I think probably the first Black Lives Matter theater, because it was just like, it's the same thing with going back again for the MLK thing. It was our first time attempting to do something as an organization, not as a group of collective friends. It was like, me and Brother Washington, we literally built a big movie screen. I don't know how tall was that?
It was tall.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have been we shouldn't have been doing that. All right. However, that's what we do. The things that people couldn't imagine someone doing.
Yeah, we just where Kwanzaa Park is now. We got some scaffolding, and I would say about 15 feet of scaffolding and a tarp. And we said we're going to give the community a free movie, and we played Fruitville Station, and we've done subsequent.
That was a good movie.
Yeah,
that was.
But it was just something you really think about now, 7 years later. Like, 2 dudes just took a truck with some scaffolding and started building a theater. Nobody bothered them. There wasn't nothing, because that was about a good 4.5, 5 hours.
Yeah,
sitting there with nuts and bolts and climbing and stuff, and just in the middle of nowhere.
And we even had bolts left after we were done. So we were that efficient.
Oh my God.
I'm going to like put a little skew on that, and then all of the other stuff we've done, like the awards, the scholarships, and that's kind of lumped into all of that, because you don't see organizations doing that. You see them marching or protesting or die-ins or on some social media, but like, again, we don't get paid to do this. This is not our money. What you do is what we kind of collectively say, this is what can be done in the community as a grassroots organization, or help other people out, or have forums from city to federal. Like, nobody else is doing community forums other than showing up to them and being mad. No, we took that time to organize all of this stuff, the awards, which is crazy. The only Black Lives Matter awards in the country. So yeah, that would be the end of number 2, and the beginning of 3 would be 2020 in the whole. 2020 was a culmination of everything we have been doing, but it just happened in one summer. We've been doing this, so we're seasoned to the fact that, there's good times, there's bad times, there's where you have 1 viewer and then there's 20,000 viewers, but you know how to balance that. You're not gonna treat the 20,000 viewers better than you treated the 1 viewer.
Wow.
So I think that comes with discipline and time and consistency of doing this. In 2020, it shook the world.
That's right.
And as I'm looking at the photo across from us in our green screen, I'm happy to be a part of May Day, because you don't see that even in the supposedly well-oiled organization. They're not taking over a police station. They may try and hurt it. But
It's a good start. But we're talking about something else. We're not talking about 2022. All right, that's the spoiler. That's the spoiler. All right? Now we got to go do it next week.
But we sat there, and the entire city gathered and got the reality of what our grandparents or parents watching now faced during the civil rights movement. Like, that was something that this country hadn't seen, and it just had been bubbling for all this time, for my entire life. Like, oh yeah, all that stuff, and that'll happen in America. Then you see police stations burning.
Mm-hmm.
Then you see stores broken into, and you see the pent-up aggression of people that have been, I guess you could say, subjugated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in a sense, because we're always defending ourselves. There's everything that we have to do as a culture, being Black, it has to be highlighted because it's not normal. And I hate that, because it makes some people get off on it in a superior way with the Black excellence. But for me, I'm already excellent. Well, you got to, as an author, as a filmmaker, as an artist, sometimes I don't want to have to put the Black in front of that. And that's something I deal with a lot.
I feel that. All right. Thanks, Jody. Hey, listen, it's our 7-year anniversary. Julian, we're talking about our 3 top moments, and it's hard, and on how hard it is to pick and choose. We're just coming up with the best that you could do it at this time. What would be yours?
So the first major, I think, event where so the Black Lives Matter Day, right? Always sticks with me. I from the beginning to the end, right? The planning, because this was the first time that we had kind of these spontaneous ideas that would just come about. And it's like, okay, how do we take this from an idea to actual execution? We see this date on a calendar. We know that this date could be problematic. So that was I think that was 10 years. Wow, that was 10 years after the riot from where the
North End,
in the North End, where scores of Black men were arrested and given felonies for making it be known that Nazis weren't welcome in the neighborhood. Right. And what stands out to me about that day is the multi-pronged approach that I have grown to love about CSRN. It's 6 years ago now, so I can say this, right? Yes, we had an event. We had our Black Lives Matter Day, which was deliberately meant to detract from what these white supremacists were doing and the message they were trying to get across and the trap that they were trying to set for us. Let's be clear, that was a trap. So there was a surface level aspect to that, right, where we had a Jamaican cook-off, a Jamaican style food cook-off, things like that. We had face painting for the children and things like that. We had health screens. That was deliberate. But then there was also an underground aspect to that, where we had eyes and ears at that rally, ready to get people out of there to avoid the unfair hand of the justice system from striking again. That was incredible to me, right? Like I had only been a one or the other, either or type of guy up until that point. I wasn't able to imagine a both and, right? And when we talk about in our guiding principles, right, thinking about a world that doesn't exist, you know, we have to deconstruct kind of this tunnel vision that we've been indoctrinated with, and let our imaginations thrive again as they did when we were children, where we can live in a both and world. We don't have to live in an either or world. And that was incredible. That was a seismic shift in my thinking when that happened. And so that really just door for all kinds of things. You know, I think of course, 2020. I think of, right, all of the moving parts, right, that existed, and being really in touch with all of them.
Yeah.
Right. We were there no matter where there was. And you know, I think of the progress, right? I was looking at the news today, and when we started, TPD did not have any body cams.
Yep.
Right. And you know, we realize body cams aren't an end all be all, but it's important that we don't sell ourselves short on our victories. Let's be clear now, right? There's very little chance of accountability without any body cams. There's little chance of accountability with body cams, but it's important that we at least have those body cams. And so TPD didn't even have any. Right now, we're at the point where the governor announced today that every state trooper is going to have body cams. Right. So I think sometimes it can we can get frustrated with the drip of progress. But when we look back, November 23rd, 2021, if we look back to November 23rd, 2014, who would have thought that there would be thousands of body cams, and that would be a direct result of the direct action that we've been doing, right? And so we are pushing the paradigm, and if nothing else, it's great that there is a home for the Black radical tradition here locally. I think that that has always existed in Toledo, right? But sometimes it can be hard to find. There's been periods of time in Toledo's history where it's hard to find. Where do I find like minds? Where do I find like people? Where do I find people that are about that action? I don't know where to go, right? That was me in August of 2014, before CSRN came around. There wasn't a home. I didn't have a home for the Black radical tradition. I knew I did. I'll save that story for another day. But we have a home today, right? And then just lastly, third, I think about all of the awesome people, right? I can't just talk about it as far as events, but the people, right? The people in CSRN, the people that we've been connected to, have saved this Black life, right? They have caused me to see esteem in myself that I may not have been aware of before. They have made me feel like I matter in a way that I didn't know before, right? As I deconstruct and reconstruct who I see when I look in the mirror, right? And so, you know, not to go through all the people and all the shout outs, but I have to give a few from like people like Tia, Alex, Mike Leonardi, right? Who continue to push me to see the ills of capitalism right? When I was a moderate liberal, right? Like, who would pull me aside at the end of every CSRN meeting, you know, and be like, yo, you know, we need to talk about this militarism. We need to talk about the class inequality, right? That both parties are propping up, right? And who kept resisting, and the next thing you know, I'm like, yeah, let's eat the rich, right? But you know, brothers like Jabril Bey and Kumasi, right, who are just so unapologetically themselves in their Black manhood, who made me feel comfortable in whatever type of expression, you know, that I came across. People like Tanasio, right, who unapologetically themselves, and you can see the beauty of that in every single step that that person takes. People like Katrina, right? And if I may even some of the people that we met at the Black Lives Matter convening, right, in Cleveland, like Raquel Willis, Cheryl Brown, people that help deconstruct, right, the idea of help me deconstruct some of my own biases, right? Biases that could be harmful to other Black people, right? And so, like, there has been so much learning and education and growth that CSRN and the people that have been connected to CSRN, this is not just an organization, this is a living, breathing thing. Yeah. This is a growing organism, right, that continues to affect and infect, right, the white supremacist structure to melt it down to nothing. And, you know, to be a part of this living, breathing, growing thing is beautiful, and it just gets me excited when I think about not only what we've done, but what we have survived. It just it is indicative of the power of our ancestors. I feel like you spoke about earlier, how we stand on the shoulders of giants. Just me by myself, or just Brother Washington, or just Jody by ourselves, we could not do this. But something about when we all get in a room together, it channels, right, the power of our ancestors to be creative, to be fearless, you know, and to continue to get back up, dust ourselves off, and make a ragtag group of individuals, some of the call accountability to some of the most corrupt sources of power in this territory, you know, ever, you know. So that's because of, I think, the perspective that everybody who's ever came in contact with CSRN has, and that perspective, how we broaden each other's perspective, we broaden each other's horizons, and so that does keep us connected, I think, to our ancestors in order to keep that Black radical tradition alive, right, and continue to give it a home, right, here. So for that, I'm grateful, and here's to another 7 great years of radical power, Black radical change.
All right. Yeah. Hey, look, I'm
Brother Washington, right, what are your top 3 moments?
Yeah. Everything.
Right.
You are not the narrator.
Okay, well, I was going to say, hey, look, let's go ahead and, because we don't have any more commercials, okay, all right? I was going to just toss it to Jody to do 5 minutes of heat.
Okay.
We've got Miss Audrey still in the green room. So we're going to bring her up and say, hey, listen, Miss Audrey, before we go, blah, blah, blah.
See the finger.
Right. Yeah, she had that finger up. So,
okay.
I don't think it's going to Jody until that finger comes down.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Okay, so really quickly, the first thing is I do want to hear what your top 3 moments are, Brother Washington. The second thing, excuse me, we can bring Audrey back, but I do have a couple of announcements, just some housekeeping stuff, and then we can do Jody's 5 minutes of heat.
Okay. All right.
So, Brother Washington,
You got a problem with
you.
that?
Nope,
Okay.
I do not. All right.
All right. All right. Hey, my top 3 moments first was interrupting and disrupting the MLK celebration. I had been a part of that planning committee for years, and I just saw how it was becoming less and less about Dr. King and more about the fire department, the police department. And I warned them a couple of years ahead that, hey, look, you guys are going down the wrong road. There was a time that I brought up singing Lift Every Voice and Sing to these people. And these are Black people and speckled with whites. And they thought that they acted as if I was asking for Luke Skywalker and the 2 Live Crew to be played. All right, that was the moment that I realized, hey, look, my time here is limited. Mm-hmm. And I was so proud that we disrupted that, all right, because that let them know that we don't accept that anymore. They can continue doing it, but it's not ours. So I was really proud of everyone that did that. Even some of the friends that I had in the city that had to stand by and watch as we walked in there. My second is Black Lives Matter Day. And everything that it brought, from the Klan calling me, asking me to do things, from the city officials calling me, asking me to reconsider, and even for the MLK disruption, some of our leaders calling, and I don't mind accepting those calls. That's my role, really, to accept that type of stuff.
Don't call me, call Brother Washington.
Right. Right. Call me, because for some of us 55 and up, 60 and up, we should be ashamed of how we sold out. And they know, all right, they know that we've sold out your future. And I love this movement because I've been a part of so many things where strong Black men would get to a particular point, and then we'd stop. We talk about doing this. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. And they get a phone call. Oh, stop. Calm down now. Okay. So this gave us an opportunity to not have to depend on that type of thing. Black Lives Matter Day, that was, for me, that was our introduction that we're here to stay. All right. And we didn't need anybody sponsoring us to do that. We didn't need the Blade, Pro Mafia, or anybody to say yes. We didn't need anybody. And nothing was going to stop us from doing that. And lastly, was the first Black Lives Matter Awards. I had saw something online about the Oscars So White. I saw something online about the 20 under 40 that was just lifting up all of the whites and the people that appeared to be white. And someone online was like, no, I think that the thought was, let's do our own. Mm-hmm. Let's just do our own. Yeah. And lastly, Ruth, I always keep a list of the people that I know that have helped us along the way. And none of the things that we've done, I believe, couldn't have happened without our NAACP Toledo branch. Whatever you might want to say about the NAACP, you really don't know what they champion and who they champion. So regardless what you think, there are people in the NAACP that have helped us do the most radical things in Toledo. Everybody does their part. Pasker Real Estate and our brother Rob Pasker, that whatever we need, he's there. Jobs with Justice Toledo, Sean Nestor, Bob Lynn. These are people that you wouldn't, and everybody at United Methodist Church, on Monroe Methodist Church on Monroe Street. These are places that you might not think Black power exists when you see the people walk out of the church, but it does. The Padua Center, where we were holding our meetings before COVID hit. St. Martin de Porres. And if you don't know who St. Martin de Porres is, he's a Black man. He's a saint.
Mm-hmm.
And the church is named after him. And there are people inside of St. Martin de Porres that if you hear them speak, you wouldn't know if they're with the Catholic Church, Minister Farrakhan. But if we look at people on the surface and think that they don't have a value, we're missing so much. All of the brothers and sisters from the Nation of Islam in Toledo that allow me to be somewhat the NOI ambassadors. Long as I don't F it up. All right. And then watch it. All right. And I thank everybody from the Nation of Islam in Toledo for giving me my training. And along with them, I thank Twila Page, Sister Twila Page. I thank Ben Williams. There's three people that have been my primary mentors. That was Minister Charles Muhammad, Sister Twila Page, and Coach Ben Williams. Those three people allow me to be who I am. If anybody wanted me to stop doing something, all three of them would have to call me at the same time, all right? Or it's not happening. Also, I wanted to thank Dr. Patrice McClellan for championing and hosting, Rashaya G for champion, Mac McCluster for hosting our sheriff's event. I'd like to also thank REH Solutions with our brother that assisted us with promoting and sponsoring the CSRN Candidates Forum. Dr. Hope Bland, who works downtown, but her mind is uptown with us, all right? And it's beautiful to have so many people that are skilled and educated, but you have no idea how down to earth they are. And lastly, the Frederick Douglass Community Association, the Doug, that regardless what we're doing, even if we were planning something ultra radical, yeah, you can do it here.
Yeah.
You can plan it here. All right. You got anything more radical, Brother Washington? And I left out Empowerment for Excellence. That's a brother named Jonathan James. His father is Bishop James, who served at the Armory. And you would never know that the son of Bishop James is one of the biggest supporters of Black Lives Matter and justice, or else, and whatever we need, if it's whatever we need, he's a phone call away. So there's so many people that have allowed us to do what we do, even my job, that contributed so much to our, Ruth talked about our student scholarship. I went to my boss, Ruth, and I said, hey, listen, we're having this. We need you to support it. She cut a check.
Nice.
She cut a check, and it was on behalf of her board members.
Nice.
And so I think the spirit of revolution that is now, when we don't have to cower, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of us used to think we did,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't have to anymore. We're smart, we're bright, we get it in, all right? We're not dumb and foolish and unwise. That's something else that would like to be colored as revolutionary, but it's silly and it's unsustainable because you go to jail and we use all our resources to bail you out,
Mm-hmm.
and you go back to jail. And I don't know if I'm supporting TPD or you, all right? So we're done with that backwards thinking that people will come into our circle and try to ask and try to challenge us on who's the most radical, who has the most weapons, who sells the most dope. Well, that killed a lot of our organizations in the past.
Yeah.
That they would send someone in there to offer guns, offer dope, and know our language better than we know it ourselves. Well, that day is over. So, Ruth, those are my three.
There's a couple people I forgot to mention. Terry Lynn, Cherry Forward, Roslyn, and Brianna Camden.
Okay.
I want to give a special shout out to specifically those women have kept us going when some of us as guys weren't thinking straight. And of course, Ruth.
Right. We forgot about Ruth.
Yeah.
And I thank Ruth for being, man, it's like being the soul of what we do. In sometimes white people, all the times, they need us because they need a soul. Validate them. That's why so many times they will be on our coattails and take over what we do. And then Ruth serves as the soul of us. How else could we do so with us three hard things together? All right. We wouldn't be able to produce anything. All right. Correct. However, with Ruth, it makes us
you guys.
Yes, man.
We love you for putting up with us.
Yes.
We love you even when we say the wrong things at the wrong time. We love you as a black woman. We love you as a black woman because you did not abandon your black men. Yep. We love you.
I can't abandon y'all. Goodness gracious.
Love you for that. And that's what makes this.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate you all as well. If there was another three gentlemen that I had to choose to be my revolutionary besties, none of them would hold a candle to you three. So here's to my 5-year anniversary and you all 7-year anniversary. But I do have just a couple of announcements just for anyone who is still interested about, this whole Black Lives Matter work that we're doing. So I'm going to start local and go national. Locally, sending condolences out to the family of Jalen Pryor. He is the 14-year-old who was shot and killed, I want to say last night or early this morning. Exacting revenge on who you think is responsible for this is not going to bring Jalen back. There is a level of hurt and heartache that I can only imagine his friends and family are going through. But the amount of promises that I have seen for revenge online has made it very clear that there are plans to engage in violence with whomever individuals feel is responsible. And that is, once again, not going to bring Jalen back. I don't have all of the answers. I do not know how to take that hurt away, but creating an environment where it is constant gun violence to avenge someone else does not bring them back.
That's right.
There is a severe need for every sort of mental health resource that is available for any and everyone who feels like the only solution is violence. Talking to someone may feel like a cop-out. Writing out your feelings may feel like you're soft. Doing anything other than exacting revenge may feel like it's not enough. But at the end of the day, it is not going to bring Jalen back. That's the first thing. Going a little bit broader, TSA students earlier last week staged a walkout. TSA students have made it abundantly clear that the way that faculty, administration, individuals, students on campus, the way that they are reacting to, responding to, speaking to one another is dripping with racism and homophobia. And when it is brought to the attention of those who are, for those 8 hours of a day, expected to protect these students, it is met with deaf ears, and the students have had enough. Students long ago recognized their power. They outnumber the faculty. And it has been a very interesting game to see how administration plays on the fear protocol, the policing protocol of keeping students in line. The amount of police presence in schools, and I'm talking outside of TSA, the amount of police presence in schools has made it very clear that that school to prison pipeline isn't going anywhere, no matter how hard we try and fight it. But also, I commend each and every student that walked out, that decided that they could no longer live in fear of what the administration was going to do. They could no longer stand by and just keep saying, okay, maybe it'll be better tomorrow. There is a group on Instagram called Reclaim Coalition. Reclaim Coalition is, as far as I know, an anonymous repository of Sylvania school students who are calling out racism, homophobia, and a lack of response to potential hate crimes. These are all students who are talking about times that they have told someone that something was happening and there was not a response that they felt like warranted whatever the impending action was. And so now they're taking it to social media, and social media, we already know, changes things. So Reclaim Coalition, I think, is a great idea for TSA students to use their social media platform to say, these are the things that are happening. This is why we walked out, and creating a database to collect all of this information. Moving a bit wider to state situations. So right now there is House Bill 322 and House Bill 327 that are being discussed. And this is basically the crux of critical race theory. House Bill 322 and 327 talk about divisive curriculums, where it's basically anything that says that white men were not the God-given grace of American awesomeness. Anything that says otherwise than that is considered divisive and should not be taught. There's going to be a town hall about both of those House bills on Wednesday, December 8th from 5:30 to 7 at UT. I will be posting the flyer for that up next, or as soon as this meeting is over.
Great.
Moving out even more nationally. So we all know that the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict came down. White supremacy won again because America. And now we are looking at the end of the Ahmaud Arbery case. I believe the prosecution spoke their piece today. The jury will resume discussions on Wednesday. And once again, we are looking at white supremacy in the court systems. This is why it is so important to vote. When you look at Toledo's election, there was one person running for judge. These are the judges that when you go in for jury duty and you have these cases, these are the people that you interact with. That's why it's so important when we talk about registering to vote and actually voting. It is incredibly important, because the people who are running for these offices, whether it's judge or dog catcher, they are able to make decisions that affect other people's lives. And this is very far, far, far out into the future. But the last day to register to vote for the next election, which is next year, is April 4th. So just keep that in mind. I know that we have had a great meeting where we talked about everything that was going on, or where we talked about the last 7 years of CSRN. But I wanted to make sure that just on this tail end that we still kept the momentum going of keeping everyone informed of what is happening, not only in our community, but also on the state and national level. And with that, I will give it over to Jody for 5 minutes of eat.
Rest in peace to Tamir Rice.
Yes, rest in peace to Tamir Rice. Rest in peace to Michael K. Williams. Both of their birthdays were yesterday.
Lots
All
of
right.
time.
Thank you, Ruth.
Go segue real quick.
Y'all see why we
How
call
was-
her now. Go ahead. My bad.
So how was your award? Because I've been gone since like September 26th, as far as anything in the world. But I do know something happened. So
the 20 under
Okay. So
40
no, I didn't. Thank you, Jody.
that I
win.
didn't qualify for. All right.
Don't worry. Next year, I'm putting all y'all's names in there, so everybody will be nominated. But no, I didn't win. But I do have to say that this year's winners, it was a much more diverse category of people. I'm not gonna lie and say that I didn't take tick marks each time someone won. So there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 white men, 5 white women, 4 black women, 2 black men, 2 Muslim men, a Hispanic woman, or Latinx, Latino, and a Latino who won this year. So once again, white men and white women did, of course, take the majority of it, of the wins. But I was very happy to see so many other races and ethnicities represented in this year's awardees or winners.
All right.
So again, as we mentioned, 5 minutes of heat. Life is a lot. This year, especially from 2020, we learned a lot about mental health and emotional health and spiritual health and physical health. There's a lot of healths. A lot of people know me outside of this and in the art world and stuff. For me, my world is weird. I'm in so many different rooms. I was just at it in poverty last week with a guy from the Million Block Challenge or the Million Block thing that lives in New York, and seeing how that impacts the world. It's very interesting, but I have not a real life, but a private life that sometimes gets affected. But I do try and let my friends know, yes, my heart and my mind is connected in all my decisions. And sometimes they get intertwined, but there are different types of hurt. Like a lot of people will say, are you suicidal or depression? And I consider that mental, all not necessarily all in the mind, but that's your mental health. Your heart health is family members, friends, deep connections, businesses, stuff like that you lose, and it kind of throws off your world. And then there's the whole thing of we done learned all of this stuff about health. So here comes the backlash of toxicity, which is like calling a person evil. And I think we forget when we use these words, and I said it in my video last night, we use these words more so as a condition. They're conditional because if you're mad at somebody or somebody did something to you, you can easily say, well, they have abandonment issues. They're toxic. They're love bombing people. They're manipulating this situation so you don't have to talk to them. You can just easily throw them away. So I wanted to start breaking down those after some life issues of my own as a form of my therapy, because my art, my words, my performance, the community service is my therapy. It's what I have time for, I guess you could say, when I do decide to take time. So this piece is not the slam version. I am currently, this will be my first memorized piece since Mom. I promised myself I wasn't going to do one, but life happens. And Audrey, I'm glad you could hear it. Julian, I'm glad you could hear it.
I'm looking forward to this one.
Ruth, Brother Washington, the one viewer we got now. So let's begin Peace. Toxic. I think I was made backwards, or at the very least, color opposite, because your red flags look like green flags to me, and my green flags always tell people to run. There's always someone telling another person to stop playing the victim as they watch them bleeding out on the ground, dying from an injury they did not cause themselves. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. It's okay, it's okay, you'll be fine. Stop. No, toughen up. No one wants to see your tears. I can't visibly see what's hurting you, so I don't believe it's real. So you learn to talk less and internalize your fears. You stop telling people the problems that hurt you in hopes that no one, yes, no one will notice you crumbling from inside. You start focusing on the material things that you can't take with you, because every time, yes, every single time you try and take someone on this journey with you, they find out your worst fears and just as quickly disappear. You become outcast in circles that you once loved, and spaces for healing are no longer willing to catch your tears. You withdraw until an emotionally compacted place in your mind where if you don't talk about it, if you don't talk about it, it's not real. You get angry quickly. You lash out when someone touches you emotionally because all you want, yes, all you want to be is held. But there's always someone pushing and punching past your stop signs and triggers, trying to tell you how you are supposed to heal. You latch on to people who you know, yes, you know you should not attach to, but their red flags look like green flags when all you want to be is healed. And all you see is them vigorously waving a message of a lesson you should have learned the last time you were here. You start isolating yourself. And the only thing that brings you to the brink of your emotions, and do only things that bring you to the brink of your emotions, because now that's the only way, yes, that's the only way you know how to feel. Crying in between the moments of desperation, because it's the only sound silent enough for people to know that you care, without getting angry at you for being too loud and too aggressive about pieces of you. Yes, pieces of you that are no longer there. You hug too tightly. You talk too long. You're too silent at times, and you remove yourself from the world because you don't believe anyone cares. You look at all those red flags, whether they be red or green, and you inspect the unchecked boxes you haven't talked about in years, and you say to yourself, it's better than gray. Yes, it's better than gray. Hoping that this time, this person, this situation will listen and stop playing with your triggers. Like there's some video game trying to reach the high score, initials on the leaderboard saying, look, I was here. You just want to tell people, my trust is so up. But I appreciate that you're here. And I am trying, yes, I am trying for the moment, but this might take some years because I believe I was born backwards, or at the very least color opposite, because your red flags might look like green flags to me, and my green flags always cause people to run away.
Let's give it up for Jody.
Man, brother, Jody. That was powerful.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
So be careful who you call toxic, because you don't know where they might be in their life, what they might have lost. Use communication before you start using negative words against someone.
Yeah.
That's a whole word right there.
Yeah.
All right. I think
like to end every meeting with the solidarity pledge.
who's doing Ruth? Who's doing the solidarity pledge?
I think
You
I
got
am.
I know that I have.
So
I'm sorry. In honor of the 7-year anniversary, I will gift it to Julian.
Okay. All right. I gotta wait 7 years.
I thought
all
the
right?
finger was gonna go up again. All right.
Before we do that, before we close out with our solidarity pledge, anything you like to say? And we thank you for hanging out with us today.
Again, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to just be with you and be in your presence. Jody, you know I always am in full gratitude of your gifts and that you share your gifts with us. So again, I just wanted to say thank you for giving me this chance and hope to see you guys again.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. So we end every meeting with the solidarity pledge. Please repeat after me. I say your name.
Brother
Audrey,
Pledge to strive
pledge to strive
to love my brothers and my sisters
to love my brothers and my sisters
as I love myself.
as I love myself.
I
I,
say your name.
Brother
Audrey,
Pledge to strive
pledge to strive
to improve myself
to prove myself
spiritually,
spiritually,
mentally,
mentally,
morally,
morally,
and physically
and physically
for the benefit of myself,
for the benefit of myself,
my family,
my family,
and my people.
and my people.
I
I,
say your name.
Brother Washington.
Audrey,
Pledge to strive
pledge to strive
to be a part of the solution,
to be a part of the solution,
the process,
the process,
and not the problem.
and not the problem.
I
I,
say your name.
Brother Washington.
Audrey,
Pledge to strive
pledge to strive
to give all that I can spare
to give all that I can spare
of my time,
of my time,
my strength,
my strength,
and energy
and energy
to achieve
to achieve
the above said.
the above
Now
said.
give yourself a round of
Great
applause.
job. All right. Great job, Julie. Great job. Hey, listen, Ruth, thank you for being here. Audrey, sister, thank you. And one of the things we always say that all lives can't matter until Black lives matter. And Black lives can't matter until all
Black
Black
lives
lives
matter.
Justice
Justice
or
or
else.
else.